you want to be energy, then you need to pay attention today. All right. So we are now live on YouTube. Good morning, everyone, everywhere. We are going to get started here in just a second. I am waiting on my co-host, the infamous Arj. Have you ever seen an Arj before? You're going to see one today. Very cute, available. Oops, I'm going to get in big trouble. So he better hurry.
I'm hurrying. I'm hurrying.
All right. And he runs like 10 miles a day. Oh my goodness.
All right.
All right. So we're going to get started here.
You see what I see?
We don't see the first page.
You don't see what I see.
We see the tag.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we don't.
If you don't hurry, I'm going to start singing.
I know. I'm hurrying.
And
I'm hurrying.
you don't want that. Okay.
Okay.
That's not it.
Now we're seeing a
now it should be.
Oh, there you go.
Now we are. Well, we can get started, everybody. This is Nature's Frequencies. And today we are talking about energetic health and wellness. Now, we do this every Saturday, all right, to educate people on how they can live an energetic, vital life. And we do it right here on this link that you see. Now, we've got a quick little video that we're going to show you that kind of sums everything up really quickly, and it's great to share with people, but we're going to talk some more afterwards.
Good health is not something we can buy, but something we can improve. For decades, people have searched the answers to many questions regarding our health and improving it. Do you want to have the ability to live life to the fullest? Are you interested in sleeping better at night and having more energy during the day in a natural, healthy way? What if there was a revolutionary technology that could change your life? A technology that slows the aging process of fruits, vegetables, and breads, and also assists the body in offsetting the harmful effects of electromagnetic fields and more? We introduce Nature's Frequencies, an award-winning company that manufactures innovative health and wellness products under 6 U.S. patents, with natural health and wellness solutions that assists with balancing and harmonizing the body. But how do we do this? We combine knowledge from the East with technology from the West. As far back as 6000 BC, the Chinese have believed that the body has an optimal energy flow. When this flow is disrupted, it manifests negatively by stimulating specific points on the body. The body is encouraged to correct itself. We fast forward to the 19th century, a period of exciting scientific progress in the West. During this time, Nikola Tesla was a genius before his time. This Serbian-American inventor, engineer, and physicist confirmed the existence of scalar waves. Scalar waves are composed of pure zero-point energy. This gives them the ability to store data in a substrate. But something must be able to hold the data. Enter Dennis Gabor, who in 1971 won the Nobel Prize for his invention and development of the holographic method. Holography can be used to store information inside crystals. And this knowledge is combined today to help you have better health and life. When applied to the body, the unique energy field signatures of Nature's Frequencies products correct and harmonize your body's frequency to optimize your body's energy flow. When the body's energy flow is restored and harmonized, the health of the body is naturally realigned. All of this has been developed by a family company with big plans for the future. Visit our website, www.naturesfrequencies.com, to take care of your precious health with Nature's Frequencies. Inspired by Tesla, patented by us.
All right. I love that video. It is so well done and creative. But we're going to tell you the rest of the story. Now, this company, Nature's Frequencies, has been around for over 9 years. And they're no stranger to awards and recognition for all that they have accomplished and continue to accomplish. They have received 15 major industry awards, including the prestigious Gold Medal Edison Award. They have been issued 6 U.S. patents to date. They have more pending. They've also been featured on television media such as Fox Business News. And then they've also been in print media on USA Today. And it's all because of their innovations that they're bringing to the marketplace and then the excellence with which they do that. So let's talk about the problem that everybody, let's see, on the planet is experiencing, okay? Our bodies are energy, and every day our bodies are being bombarded by internal and external stressors to our energy system. Now, these stressors are coming from everywhere, okay? They're coming from chemicals, they're coming from toxins, electromagnetic radiation, which is what we're going to stress about today, stress, worry, physical and emotional trauma, the news, and more. Now, when your body's energy flow is drained, it's blocked, it's imbalanced, or interrupted, then you're going to feel discomfort, stress, and other issues. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, so we have the solution. That's why we're here, because Nature's Frequencies has invented and patented some of the most advanced energetic health and wellness products that are designed to balance, to restore, to protect our body's natural energy flow to help your body achieve optimal health and wellness energetically. When you place the EMF shield on your devices, or the EMF Shield Plus earthing card that I'm actually wearing around my waist, our tags, or even our patches in your energy field, then the Nature's Frequencies products that are programmed, to offset the negative impact, okay? The negative impact of electromagnetic field frequencies and any of that output that is coming from your mobile electronic device. Instead of your body stressing from EMF, your body is actually harmonized to help you achieve and maintain optimal health, energy, and vitality. So we are going to be talking about 5G and EMF health concerns. And the people that are going to do that are these people that are the owners and inventors and creators of this technology. It's a father and son run business. It's Rick and RJ Hassler. They are our president and CEO of the company. Rick has over 25 years of experience in business. He sold his previous business as an Inc. 500 company. His son is a young entrepreneur who brings a lot of energy, and he helped develop this technology along with his father, Rick. So Rick and RJ, I'm going to turn it over to you guys.
Thank you, Susie. And thank you everyone for joining us. Susie, you're just brilliant. Anyways, thank you. And all right, this is a health concern. People were wondering, is 5G going to be good for you, bad for you? So this is just a quick video to show you some concerns that a bunch of practitioners have.
5G fifth generation technology promises faster download speeds and conveniences that most of us have never dreamed of, but will also be blanketed with a new type of radiation called millimeter waves. Health experts are warning about the rising risks with a 5G rollout.
It's not been made clear to the public that 5G won't just be another number and letter on your cell phone. It requires an entirely new infrastructure of thousands of small cellular antennas to be erected throughout cities where it's going to be installed.
What would 5G infrastructure look like? Small cell antennas could be placed as close as every third hydro pole. Scientists from 42 countries are now warning their governments about the emerging health problems associated with wireless radiation. And Canadian doctors and scientists have added their voices.
Join us this afternoon.
The most prevalent symptoms include headache, fatigue, decreased ability to concentrate, tinnitus, irritability, and insomnia. Impacts on the heart and the nervous system are also of great concern.
So patients
Dr. Rena Bray has been working at the Provincial Environmental Health Clinic for 15 years and seen the number of people suffering adverse effects from electromagnetic exposure rising.
We are concerned that the upcoming introduction of 5G will significantly increase the proximity and extent of exposure to microwave radiation in Ontarians. We predict that the number of people who develop the symptoms I just mentioned will rise in the places where 5G is first installed.
Dr. Magda Havas is internationally recognized for her research on the biological effects of electromagnetic pollution. She said that at high intensities, these waves cause intense heat and pain because sweat glands on the surface of our skin act like mini antennas.
At lower frequencies, scientists are predicting damage to eyes, loss of insect populations, which are already declining, antibiotic resistance in bacteria, and physiological effects on the nervous system and on the immune system.
Radiation from radio frequencies is classed in the same category of carcinogens as lead.
It's 10.
One advisor to the World Health Organization said there's enough evidence that if they were to re-evaluate radio frequency radiation,
It would be placed in class 1, i.e. a human carcinogen, and governments could not possibly ignore that.
All right. Well, let me give you a nutshell. 5G is here. It's not going away. It's almost like a necessity. So you have to understand that the world we live in, the health, I don't believe the health is as concerned as the business part of it. So we have now 5G. It is out, it's coming out, and get ready because you have to protect yourself somehow. One of the big pictures is the blood cells, and she showed this, and I wanted to explain what it is. This is what happens, and it really shows it well here. Your Wi-Fi router affects you. It stresses your blood and coagulates it, and it's called rouleau. And it's the best one is we did blood testing, and you'll see it later with Dr. Smith, and he explained to me what happens to rouleau. He goes, this is your capillary. This is rouleau. It won't go through. So every time you see temperature going up in your head, in your hand, because you're holding something, he goes, the rouleau will not go through the capillary. So your body sees that, it's the fight or flight, it sends more blood, and it doesn't go through. So that's why you get the red head. That's why your hands get hot. And you need to mitigate this because EMF is not going away. You need it. It's like a necessity. Let's Dr. Stan Lang is probably one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. He researches everything. And he's been a general practitioner for, I think, almost 40 years now. And he's incredibly intelligent and versed in EMF. So RJ, let's hear from Dr. Stan, some issues caused by EMF.
There's over 500 published studies that show that EMF damages physiology. Not all human studies, but there are human studies also. And there's two things that I think are, well, there's three things I'll mention. There's a lot of things you could talk about. The first thing is that EMF interferes with your pineal gland's ability to make melatonin. And so when that happens, you don't sleep well. So by letting this EMF hit you, especially when it's in the evening, especially if it's through the night, then your ability to sleep is impaired because you're not making melatonin naturally. So that's a really big one. And I tell people that your brain interprets EMF as if somebody's shining a bright light in your eyeballs. It can't tell the difference. It's just energy that's not supposed to be there. And so the pineal gland is being signaled, don't make melatonin yet. It's not time to go to bed yet. So that's for myself, the biggest thing, but there are other things that it does that are more subtle. One of them is that it causes the fungi in your GI tract to make hundreds of times more toxins than normal. So we have over 5,000 species of fungi in our GI tract. They're supposed to be there. They're not pathogens, but they act pathogenically when you stimulate them with EMF. They make a lot more toxins. And these toxins just don't sit there in the gut. They're absorbed and they go through the body. The third thing that happens is that it causes the balance of power to shift of the different bacteria that live in your gut. That's called the biome. And there's over 1,500 species, and they all shift in response to these energies. And 4G passes right through you. There's no blocking 4G. 5G is much more intense, but it doesn't go through as much, but it's much more intense superficially. So the both together are capable of causing quite a bit of disruption, and it will get worse.
One of the things that he mentioned is how your brain sees EMF, and it sees it like a light. So if your smart meter's going off, if your router's going off, your brain sees it. So does it make melatonin? And when you heard in the first interview with the people, you always hear headache, fatigue, and brain fog. And a lot of it's caused because you're not getting the deep sleep. So Dr. Stan did a ton of research on EMF, and you're going to hear why in this next one, because mitigating it, and there's two things. One, it's in your head. And you got to hear, like, if people don't know what the problem is, well, it's psychosomatic. It's in your head, but it's really not in your head. So let's play this and let's learn.
The first one that I'll mention then is the story of a relative who has extreme EMF sensitivity. And to the average person, somebody watching somebody that looks like they have EMF sensitivity, they usually just will say, oh, it's just in his head. Well, it is in his head. That's the problem. But it's not imagined in his head. And what this person experienced is that he could get to a place, and there are a few places where we go camping where there's no EMF. There's no high frequency EMF. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no signals at all. He would feel good. He would have high energy. He would be able to do stuff. And as we would go back to town, the closer he would get to town, the worse he would feel. And most people would say, oh, that's just because you don't want to go back to work. But that wasn't true. The issue was that the EMF was really causing these very negative effects. And for a while, he was staying, during the summer, he was staying in our backyard. Because we have very little signal here, as you might notice from I'm probably breaking up half the time here. But we only have one signal versus, the dozens that you have in a town. And he was relatively able, with the technology that you have, once we added that in, it helped him tremendously if he stayed away from the massive sources of EMF. But as winter approached, that was not going to be tenable. So we created some Faraday, he built a Faraday cage around his bed and around his workspace in his home. And in combination with the technology that you have supplied, it has transformed his life. He's highly functional, back to the best he's been. And it's because this negative effect has been mitigated in his life. And he's able just to go about the way he was supposed to go about, except it was being interfered with in this invisible way that a lot of people don't believe is going on, but it is going on.
Yeah, one of the things, just so people understand, is he couldn't work. He was physically, couldn't get out of bed, couldn't, like, the movement, like, totally out of it. And it wasn't like he didn't want to work. He just
absolutely.
And
if he tried to take a walk, he would be exhausted. A 1 block walk.
Right.
Exhausted.
And this was a normal, healthy person. And what Dr. Stan was trying to say nicely is Rick and RJ probably have some few other technologies that we haven't shared yet, that we have shared with Dr. Stan. And we will always share with Dr. Stan, and we will invent more stuff with Dr. Stan. So we are always happy to help when someone needs help. When I heard this first story the first time, and he said, look, this is a young, healthy kid that wants to work but can't. And I ran, every once in a while I hear a story like about this, and it wipes people out, and nobody gets it. They think he's lazy, and it's not that he's lazy. He just physically was boom. It's like he got punched out, and That was it.
If you can think of the worst time you ever felt and the most tired you felt, and then imagine feeling like that 100% of the time, that's what these folks are feeling like.
You know, we're really lucky to work with people like Dr. Stan. We were at the time, goes back almost a year. RJ and I were inventing some new products come out, and Dr. Stan tests them, and he's got a boatload of patients and a family member. So we're always lucky and blessed to have people like Dr. Stan to work with. And I've spoken to Dr. Stan, and we've helped a ton of people mitigate EMF issues. So we're pretty proud of that. But proactive strategies in today's world, you need to actually be proactive. So let's hear from Dr. Stan.
EMF shields on your devices, your routers.
Yeah, I think that's foundational. And I think that unless you have unusually perfect health, you're probably going to benefit from doing these things just as a proactive strategy, even if you're not feeling like you need it, because people get used to being at this level of low energy, and they think that that's normal. And then we do something and we return to normal, and it feels wonderful. And so I think a lot of people are more affected than they realize. And so using these strategies, because we know we're being bombarded by EMF from lots of different places, I think it makes sense that we would try to shield ourselves from that.
You know, one of the things he said is, when I was talking to him, it's like, Rick, the new normal is a more lethargic person with brain fog, and they're accepting that. And there are strategies that you can do, and we're going to show them to you in a little bit, to help you with your own devices and to help you with yourself. But he goes, the new normal has changed. Dr. JeNeen, we've worked with for almost 9 years, and was concerned about 3G when we first met her, and 4G, she was really concerned. So let's hear from Dr. JeNeen a little bit about Wi-Fi devices and why you need some help.
Basically, we have all of these devices around us that communicate energetically, so to speak. You know, the Wi-Fi, the cell phones, the towers, the Bluetooth, all of these things, you can't see it. You can't feel it. Some people can feel it that are really, really sensitive. Most people can't feel it. You can't taste it. You can't hear it. However, it's bombarding us and affecting us all the time. And what happens is our bodies are frequency, our bodies are energetic. And we all know this, because you might go into a room and somebody negative walks in, or somebody that's sad or that has an attitude walks in, and you can literally feel the energy of the room just, I mean, I know we've all felt that before, or, you know, being around somebody that just makes you feel tense. Well, this is what happens to our cells when we are surrounded by this electromagnetic frequency, this EMF radiation. Our cells go into a stress mode. And so what happens with them is that they kind of, the cell membranes kind of harden down. They have a hard time getting rid of their toxins, and they have a hard time taking in their nutrients. So it affects our body's function. Now, you know, the original studies that were done on cell phones, they said, oh, well, it doesn't really affect us because it doesn't, you know, heat the tissue up that much. Well, there's so many more effects that don't have anything to do with heat. There's biological effects that affect the function of our cells and our tissues. And that's what's really causing a problem. When you have these devices that emit, so anything that is hooked up wirelessly, whether it be the LTE, the new 5G, which that takes it to a whole different level. That is exponentially more toxic than what we've been exposed to. And what that's doing to us is it's really taking our immune system down, to be honest with you. That's what it does. It hinders your immune functions drastically. And so now more than ever, we've got to be super proactive. But as our phones try to communicate with the Wi-Fi, with the Bluetooth, and with the cell phone towers, that's 3 different types of radiation that it's emitting. When we have these devices on our phones, and I'm one of those people, unfortunately, I'm contributing to the statistic. I am one of those people with 2 phones. I don't go anywhere without it. I keep it on every device, the phones, the computers, the tablets, the routers, everything that I can absolutely think of. I'm going to go through this list and make sure I haven't missed anything, because basically, when we have it close to our bodies, which we do with these, whether we carry them on our bodies or whether they're in our, in our bags, they're still right there next to us. And so we're having a greater effect So the start of it is protecting your own environment, mitigating all the devices in your own environment, and then wearing that card so that you're protected against everything else that's coming from the outside.
Dr. JeNeen put it a great way, is mitigate your own devices. You're in control of your own devices. We'll get to the outside stressors, but your own devices are incredibly important because you can help yourself. And again, the EMF from your own devices is going to continue. So this is another concern that she's had and I've had. So let's hear this, Arch.
Absolutely. This is laminated. I carry this around, and it's the picture that we showed earlier. And the bottom line is that children are a lot more susceptible for a couple different reasons. Number one, they're going to have a much longer exposure, and that exposure is cumulative, but their skulls are thinner, and so the radiation penetrates deeper. And so they get exposure to more of their neurons, more of their brain cells for a much longer period of time. The other thing about kids is that their bodies are more hydrated. You know, babies, they're so cute and they're so squishy, is what my daughter used to call it, but they have a lot more hydration. One of the signs of aging is that when your skin starts to dry out, you start to wrinkle, and you can tell the difference. So that hydration actually attracts the radiation. So they're getting a lot more exposure, they're getting more damage, and it's for a much longer period of time. So that's why I say we've got to be, you know, this is important, not only to be wearing the card or the tag, but also to make sure we have all of the devices harmonized. That is huge. All the devices around the house, all the devices that they're going to potentially be exposed to, really all of your devices. And that's why the list that Susie mentioned earlier is so powerful, because there's so many things that people don't even think about around the household. I mean, this list is long. This checklist is probably 100 different things that you need to look at in terms of potential exposure, but specifically, especially the phones and the tablets and the computers that they're going to actually be holding and using.
Dr. JeNeen, one day she said your hair dryer. So let's go first to cell phones and kids. Kids are living on cell phones, and the head down, that's a position that you're going to see. And it really does. I'm old. I've got a thick skull, but a little one, as she says, is squishy with a thin skull. Look at the difference. So please, if you have kids, the most important thing is kids in our future. So you really want to make sure that you can do some kind of mitigation. The EMF shield is so important for kids. And we'll show you some devices and where to put them in a second. It's next, Arj. We've done independent lab testing. Really simple. You've all felt your hand go up in temperature. You've all felt your head go up and your ear get red. Well, on average, your head goes up 1.55 degree in a 3-minute call. That was in a lab testing. Well, with our cell phone chip, it goes up 0.08 degrees. All right. That's a 94% reduction. And why? Okay. It's really simple. It goes back to the fight or flight. It sends your blood gets upset, it gets rouleau, it gets strung, it won't go through the capillaries. By offsetting the negative effects, your blood is flowing, so you don't get the red ear, the temperature doesn't increase. And that's really the gist of it. It's your body isn't getting the stress. And you don't want your body in a stress mode. Nothing good happens when your body's in chronic stress mode. This is really simple. With a 10-minute call without the EMF shield, the guy's ear is red hot, and with the EMF shield. Now, this is pretty wild because this is a test done in Australia, and this was on live TV. So this had nothing to do with us paying for the test or anything. It was just Australia decided to test our product. And take a look.
Evening, everybody. Welcome to the program. Well, we live in a high-tech world, and the signals that are around us while out of sight might be messing with our minds. While the mobile phone debate surrounding their effect on our health continues to rage, companies are coming up with all sorts of devices and gadgets to combat the ill effects, if there are any. A phone micro shield promising protection has now arrived in Adelaide, so we put it to the test.
Our energy isn't designed to be bombarded with all this electromagnetic radiation every day.
If we could see all the electromagnetic fields around us, we'd be quite frightened.
We're surrounded in signals.
I think it's the root cause of a lot of cancers.
3G, 4G, now 5G is coming to a suburb near you.
It is a big health issue and it's only going to get worse.
The big telcos will tell you there's nothing to see here.
It's a bit like the cigarette companies saying that tobacco wasn't a problem.
Electromagnetic radiation is what mobile phones emit. The question is it in harmful doses?
I've seen enough patients already with sickness from mobile phone use.
Adelaide health professionals like naturopath Dr. Jeffrey Bryant and Deborah Regari from the House of Healing say it's downright dangerous.
Many in the scientific field today are very concerned as well.
I had a woman came in here once with a 3-week-old baby in a pram with the mobile phone right next to this baby's head playing at music.
But now a tiny wafer-thin shield is being touted as a potential protector of our brain. And when we road tested it, the result was jaw-dropping. Wow. We'll return to that soon, but Tony Mark Seymour, the man who introduced it to Adelaide from the US, reckons he was initially sceptical.
Most of these devices don't work, and in fact, some of them can have a negative effect.
The EMF shield uses so-called quantum physics to assist the body to counterbalance these negative signals from phones. But do we really need to be shielded? Well, the only large study into a link between mobile phones and brain cancer was funded by the mobile phone companies.
But even that study hinted at a relationship between high usage of mobile phones, more than half an hour a day, and brain cancer.
Neurosurgeon Dr. Charlie Teo says his patient records turn up some chilling coincidences, like a man who used his company mobile constantly.
He died of brain cancer. All 4 partners in the company died of brain cancer. And then his wife rang us up 2 years after he died to say that the secretary, who was also on the mobile phone, died of brain cancer.
Telstra pointed us towards the World Health Organisation's ruling on the matter.
To date, no adverse health effects have been established as being caused by mobile phone use.
But delving deeper, WHO has classified radio frequency electromagnetic fields as emitted by mobile phones as possibly carcinogenic to humans based on an increased risk of glioma, a malignant type of brain cancer.
So I do know that if you're exposed enough to EMR, you will get brain cancer and you'll die from it.
Now the test. I spent 10 minutes with my mobile phone against my ear, had a thermal image snapped, and the result floored me and my crew. Not only hot, but white hot in the ears region. The EMF shield was then attached to the back of the phone, another 10 minutes on it. This time the image snapped was cool.
I would love to see more detailed investigation as to how it works, what it actually does to the radio signals, so that we can actually understand, the effect that you saw in the thermal imaging that you did.
Computer systems engineer Dr. Paul Gardner-Stephen from Flinders Uni says while it's possible to shield phones from radiation, he's not sure there's a risk.
In that regard, I would say that the jury, I think, is still out, at least from what I've read.
The more people that are exposed to this technology and these devices, the better.
All right.
The details on the shield are on our website, and we contacted the TGA to get their thoughts on the.
All right. Well, thank you, Australia, for testing and finding the same results our laboratory tested. This is a quick blood video. You need to understand fight or flight and how blood gets coagulated and what our products can do with offsetting the frequencies and actually helping your blood flow. So hit that real quick, Arch.
Let's just say this is the normal blood.
It's kind of strung up. You can see it's clumped. Please explain what just happened.
Well, they separated.
And what does that mean?
Well, actually, there's an increase in blood flow. And if this were internal, then his pain would be going down.
Can you just look at me for 1 second? Now you just looked at the blood just by adding the pain chip, and what did you just say?
I just said increased blood flow, more oxygen to the body, less pain.
And then you just said one more thing also.
Did I say?
You did say
pretty unique.
Pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing, that's what I said.
Okay. That was about 8 years ago. I was with Dr. Smith and he described the hand. And you can see the difference. Coagulated blood isn't going to go through a capillary. That's rule. The blood gets coagulated. EMF upsets that. And that's why in the original video, they showed coagulated blood. And then with our products, it's separating and flowing. And you could see in the last video. So this is kind of neat. Dr. JeNeen said hair dryer. So I tested my daughter's. She's got a lot of hair, unlike RJ and myself. And you can do this yourself. We have HRV testing. You can see stress to the body with a device, but all you got to do is stand straight, turn your device on, hold your arm, twist, okay? And mark the place that you went to. Then take your EMF shield. This is a pretty big device, so I'm going to use 2. I went about 20% further with my EMF device. Before I put this on, I also held it. And my hand started getting hot. It was getting blotchy, like red and white. I had taken off my tag. I took off the card out of my pocket. But my hand, and I felt tingling. All right. And I was amazed when Dr. JeNeen said hair dryers. I just didn't think about it. So any device with a power supply, with a motor, it's going to be emitting EMF. And if you're drying your hair for 15 minutes, you're actually blowing EMF into your body. So please, again, this is Dr. JeNeen that says, Rick, your hair dryer. I'm like, ooh. So I tested it. So this is the EMF shield. We've sold millions through doctors. And this is probably the #1 product that we've ever sold because everybody needs it. It works. Put it on all devices. Just to give you an idea, these are a couple devices. Your router, incredibly important. This is more important than anything. Kids' tablets, all right? Put it where they hold their hands. Kids live on these. If you have a power supply, and the one that I always tell people, it's your laptop. Put it where your hands sit. That's where my hands sit. And, you know, you can, anything you can do to protect yourself on your own devices, you control your own world. Your router makes a huge difference. All right. Because EMF is not going away. So you need to know you really want to put EMF shields on everything. All right. Now, what are you going to do? What is your body going to do when this happens? That is my water tower in Guilford, New Hampshire. They decided that our water tower needed 4 and 5G. And that's not good. Okay. So let's go to the next one, Arj. This is RJ's problem. This is RJ. RJ lives in Boston, and he can connect to all of these devices. What does that mean? That means forget about his own devices. He's being hit by every single one of these routers. He can connect. That means he's getting a signal. That means his pineal gland is being told, ooh, I see light. I see light. So if you don't do anything to mitigate your own problems, and you can look at this, all you got to do is look at your Wi-Fi connections. And that's what Dr. Stan was explaining. When he was in the woods, he only had one connection, and his family member was feeling better. Moving back to the city, if he put him in RJ's building, he wouldn't function at all. He was very seriously had issues with EMF. So what are you going to do to mitigate that? Because that's different. That's going to hit you no matter what. So the importance of good sleep is huge, and you need to mitigate this any way you can. So what do we have, Arj?
only that, but our bodies were meant to be in harmony with the earth. That's just the bottom line. You know, we stop that by wearing these shoes with these rubber soles so that we're never reconnecting with the earth. We're never having that ability to diffuse all of that stress from our bodies and to soak up those negative ions from the earth, which are healing and beneficial. And so by wearing this earthing card, it's like we're walking around barefoot all the time. Now, who doesn't feel good walking around barefoot, especially on the beach, right? Have you ever gone to the beach and came back feeling horrible? Ever? No. So it's like having a little bit of the beach on your body, in your pocket every day. So of course you have better balance and you feel better and you sleep better. And sleep is huge. I cannot stress enough the importance of good quality sleep. And this is one of the things, these energies that we're being bombarded with are one of the major factors that disrupt our sleep and that cause people to have a hard time falling asleep, staying asleep, tossing and turning, because our body is in stress. It's like, what's going on? I'm trying to rest. And so this really helps to diffuse that. And once you're getting good quality sleep, you're going to look better, you're going to feel better, you're going to function better.
You know, Arj, one of the things, and she's talking about the EMF shield and earthing card. There's a bunch of different ways you can use this. One, you can put it under your pillow. Dr. Joe swears by 4 cards and 4 glasses of water under the 4 corners of the bed. Absolutely. If you can't afford 4 cards, no big deal. Run water over each card and put it under the 4 corners of the bed and change it about once a week, because water picks up everything, picks up the good frequencies from the earthing card. Make yourself like a quantum field in your bedroom. You need good sleep. So this is a problem for no sleep. And it's not just RJ, it's everybody. The towers are out there. You're going to connect, makes no sleep. Next, Arj. Tim Coleman is absolute amazing quantum energy practitioner. He takes, as he puts it, and it's true, the toughest patients are out there with trauma, and it takes like 4 months to get an appointment with him. He is that busy. And let's hear from Tim, because he called it. This video is like 2 years old and he called it.
Let's not even talk about 5G, the 3G and 4G, even that alone, we're microwaving. Our body's getting microwaved. So when we're holding on a cell phone and we're receiving calls and we're making calls, well, the signals are more of a microwave, and our cells are getting microwaved to a certain level. Now, what happens when that happens? It partially shuts down our cells, because our cells, our body's very smart. Our body knows that, hey, this is not natural. This is a threat. I'm under attack, basically. So the cells will partially shut down when this happens. Well, what does that mean? Well, think about all these functions in the body: digestion, building new cells. Well, if your cells are on, off, how efficiently is your body? How well can you repair your body? Not very well. So it puts a lot of stress on the body. And even when we're sleeping, we have these smart meters, we have Wi-Fi modem. And if we're not, we really need protection on our phones, because we're sleeping and we're receiving these frequencies, and it is interfering with our circadian rhythm, our sleep patterns. It's interfering with our body. We can't get as good sleep. So it's very important to have like the EMF shields on the Wi-Fi modem. Have them on your phone. Have them on your laptop. I have them on all my electronics. Now, 5G, I was just reading a report. That's about 1,000 times stronger than the 3 and 4G. 5G is, I see it as, a huge health problem. And, unfortunately, it's probably going to roll out, and it is rolling out in some areas. You can do your own research. You can Google, effects of 5G. They've been rolling it out in fire stations, police stations. And now these people, like our firefighters, are now complaining with health issues and concerns. And it's having a detrimental effect on people. And unfortunately, it's probably going to roll out in your neighborhood. So the best thing we can do is protect ourselves, get a quantum card on you, get the EMF shield on your electronics. And, all we can do is the best, we can only do so much. But that, I think everybody really needs to take it seriously, because it can have a big effect on your body.
Tim called it. This is 2 years ago. And then fast forward it, and Tim will tell you what he sees now. And he's busier now than ever. And you're going to hear the common word from everybody: stress to the body, sleep issues, concentration, brain fog. So let's hear what Tim has to say.
EMF. Just to give you an idea, I have this really neat computer where I can bring somebody into my office. I hook up similar like a blood pressure cuff onto their arm. And now I have complete access to their body. It's like an IT person, going to your computer. But I can determine from the body standpoint, what are the main stresses? What are the priorities of the body? What can the body handle? For example, if somebody comes in and they might have heavy metal toxicity, but it'll tell me, no, they're not ready for that. Or, maybe their liver and their kidneys are just not up to par right now. So I can get a lot of information. I know we were talking the other day, I can look at anything, and I can look at your spinal fluid. I can look at every nerve of the eye, anything. Well, what's interesting is, I've had this machine for probably 10, 11 years, and I do all kinds of things. I can imprint frequencies into homeopathic remedies. I can infuse them into a person's body with lasers, a lot of neat stuff. So what I've noticed though, I have this category in the computer under toxicity. Now that'll tell me what are the main stresses to the body as it relates to toxicity. What I've noticed ever since this whole quarantine thing, there's been a dramatic increase in EMF exposure, because it'll tell me right there, EMF exposure is the body's top priority, top stress. And I'm seeing a lot of really strange symptoms that maybe I would see once in a while. And now it seems like almost everyone's coming in with just random things like ringing of the ears, they can't sleep, even kids, panic attacks, just energy issues. And what it is a lot of this EMF exposure, because where are people going to go? You got kids now on their tablets, they're in front, you playing video games, mom and dad, they might be working from home. Everybody is in this Wi-Fi soup, and they're just getting microwaved. And just to give you an example, I just had a client, she texted me because her child is now having panic attacks, just can't go to sleep, she's scared. Well, after investigating and talking to her, she installed a new security system, Wi-Fi security system with the camera and the whole alarm and everything. And it was having an effect on her little girl.
When I talked to Tim, he mentioned tinnitus, and I've heard that's ringing to the ears. And Dr. Stan mentioned it, can't sleep and energy issues. Tim, Dr. Stan, same thing. We hear this all the time now. And again, Dr. Stan put it best. He's like, it's the new normal. So this is so important. And the EMF shield and earthing card to have on you. And anybody, we've been tested, our doctors, practitioners, Dr. Stan, Dr. Al, Dr. JeNeen have a heart rate variable test machine. They're about $5,000. And anyways, we've got cumulative results, which I want to show you, but you can do this just by yourself. Is again, stand straight, put your hands straight, twist, okay? Put your EMF shield and earthing card, twist. You're going to twist about 20% further. Why? Your body functions better because it relaxes, it takes the stress down. And it's not just your muscles relaxing, it's your entire body, the brain, everything that functions is going to function better with it than without it. How do we know? Because go to the next slide. We're just going to show you a couple of the results from the HRV. This is huge. This is tension index, which is stress. The stress before the card was 152, the stress level. It went down to 108 within 30 minutes of just having the card on them. 30 minutes, you shot down about 30%, which is really pretty big. Again, that's just 30 minutes. How do you want your body to function, in a stress mode or not? One day we had Dr. Stan on, all he talked about is chronic stress. because that's his biggest concern. Because if your body's in chronic stress, it doesn't function as well. So your lymph system isn't as good. Your immune system's not as good. Everything isn't working the right way. So you want to relieve that stress, and any way you can do it is really a good thing. The next test, again, there's a whole bunch of these in an HRV, but this is total power, which is available. There's 1,408 was the beginning of this person. After 30 minutes, it went to 2113. That's a 50% increase of total power available to the body. That's huge. It just simply put, do you want more power available to you or less power? In 30 minutes, it worked better. So we have a quick summary just to show you, but the average, and again, we've got tons of practitioners using HRVs. Average increase in total power was 67%. Average increase for energy resources, 41%. Overall health index increase in average of 36%. That's on an average of 30 minutes. Imagine what the card does to you for the rest of the time. I play tennis all the time. I will never play without my card in my right pocket. Why? My reactions are quicker, point blank. And I get hit very hard at the net. Without it, I'll probably get hit one day, but I can volley it back without it. The earthing card, it's important for you. And one of the big tests is your biological clock. My biological clock said I was 39. I'm 61. And thank God for our products, because I can play tennis every day and enjoy life. So this is the EMF Shield and Earthing card. It is incredible. It's manufactured under 4 US patents. I can't tell you how important this is. And next, we've got the EMF Shield and Earthing tag. Don't leave home without it. I love this. And if you're going to do a muscle test, you got to take the tag off. That's why mine's off. The EMF Shield and Earthing patch is designed for earbuds, small devices, small Wi-Fi devices, and body parts. It works great on body parts. So these are just 4 amazing products we have to help you with EMF, because it is not going away. The towers are going up more and more. It's now been accepted as a necessity in the health portion of your body. You have to look out for it. Nobody else is gonna. So you really need to do whatever you can to mitigate EMF.